Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today's topic is Azure AD app registration. What is AD app registration? Why we why do we need it for your application? So Azure app registrations are an easy way and it is powerful way to configure your authentication and authorization workflows for your application. For that purpose we use the Azure app registration. Let's suppose you have developed a single page application using React or Angular. Now you need to enable the authentication with Azure so that whatever user role and various APIs which are configured on the Azure or hosted on the Azure can use your application can connect with them via secure way with proper authentication approach. So for that purpose what we need to do, we need to register your app single page application on AD. Also you need to configure that with your APIs, so that process we can understand end to end. In this diagram we can see number one, the developer register and configure his multi-tenant application in his local AD. So if you can go with the single tenant application, also you can go with the multi-tenant application. In diagram I can show you the multi-tenant application. So here you can see developer AD tenant, and here we would be doing the app registration for my app. Let's suppose this is my app, and then you can also take the reference for my app as a, you can register this as a enterprise app. And then in education one Azure AD tenant, and then on top you can say education to Azure AD tenant, where also you can take this reference of from this my app. So where you can say in point number 2, register interested customers from the external AD can also use this multi-tenant applications. So this is the way why we registered it, and internally it got object ID, it means service principal ID, and then principal ID and application client ID that can be assigned to applications, and in this way we can configure it. So let us go to portal and see the practical assessment of app registration, how to perform app registration steps there practically. So let us go to portal. Here this is my home page of my app registration of portal. Now what you can do, you can click on AD, that is now it is changed Entra. So I can click on Entra ID. So Entra ID is known as now. Earlier it was Azure Active Directory. Now it is, they rename it. So here in this you can see in left navigation you have this enterprise application also and option, and which is kind of a global let's suppose for multi-tenant registration. If you want to register your application among the multi-tenant, then you can go for the enterprise application. For single tenant you can go for app registration here. So we let us start with app registration. So you can click on this app registration here. Then on top you can see plus new registration. So I can click on this new registration, and here I can type name of registration. I would say education, and or I can mention the prefix SP, service principal, education, and then I would say UI, and then I can say tab. This is my this is my app registration for UI application. I am trying to register it for React application, that is single page application. So here you can see below the options, account type which is supported, multi-tenant, single tenant, multi-tenant, and two more option also, personal Microsoft account only, and Yeah, third one is account in any organizational directory. Okay, so I can select first option only, and then down what I can see, uh, redirect URI. So here in redirect URI, I can go with the single page application, that is my React application, and here I can type something related to my application. So I have some local host for it. I deployed my application, or I can directly take it from here. This is my React app. Here this is hosted on local host. So I can copy this and I can mention here redirect URI. And so this is the way. And then you need to, so what we selected multi-tenant, single tenant, and then we mention the local host, and we selected single page application, and then you can click on register. So when you click on register, just click it and it is creating, and your app registration is created. So what it has created basically, this is by default selected overview. And overview, you can see here this client ID, application ID, and it is basically client ID which is needed for your application React app, where you can mention this client ID. Also, one more thing is needed there, authority. That is not mandatory at this stage. So, client ID is important. And then, if you want to see something more detail here, then you can click on this manage application in local directory. When you click on that, then you can see various other option here. So here application ID, object ID, this is service principal ID, tenant ID, and here you can provide your various other configuration also. But for time being, I am not touching on that. I can go to overview again, click on overview of your app registration. Yeah. So here this one is overview. Uh, App registration. If you want to see where this app registration is created, then click on this app registration again, and then click on all application. Then here you can see recently we created this SP education UID. So open it, and then what you can do, you can click on this branding and properties. So here branding, you can rename, you want to give some logo here of your application or your customer, you can mention it, and various other configuration you can do in branding. Let's suppose you want some some specific to your application, your customer only, then you can do that. And so I'm keeping this default. I'm touching key important point is authentication. So here this is important, authentication. So here what you can do, you can this localhost which I mentioned, that is coming automatically, and then you can see down it is showing implicit grant and hybrid flows, and also this logout is coming automatically. Okay, and then here what I can do, I can select this option access token and ID token also. I can select both. If you want to configure something with M cell, then you can leave this, that will be doing within the next video. And then on first I can take this single tenant which is selected by default, and then rest of things I'm keeping same. So yes, so this is authentication part. What we did, we enable this access token, and also we enable this ID tokens, and rest information is coming by default, which we kept same, and then you need to click on save. So this is another step which we are about to complete. And then I can see, okay, right, so shipped successfully, you can see here. All right, successfully saved. Then next what you can do, you can go to this certificate and secret, and you can create secret also, add new secret, and the secret would be available maximum for 1 year, I guess, and then after that you need to renew it. So you can set some date, 3 months, 6 months, or maximum 1 year. Okay, so here I'm not going to create certificate secret. Reason for that, because this is my UI app registration, so at this moment it is not needed. And then you can go to this API permission. Token configuration is also here. You can also create some claim, add some claim which will come, be added with your token to validate with that request that you can read there on API layer. So if you want, you can add the token and also add the group claim, add, okay. And then essential part is API permission. So here this is the default Microsoft Graph. It was enabled. Here you can see one user dot read, user reader role is already enabled, and basis on your application roles, you can create here permission. Basically this is API permission, right? So you can add the API permission, some other permission also which would be applicable on your APIs. So that is essential part. What kind of permission you want to give, that you can add. And one more point is expose API. Here you need to add your APIs, basically scope, right? So in this part you can add some scope. You but here I do not have API at this moment, but in next video I will be creating API and also creating another representation for API. And then here we can mention this API and then save and continue, and that way you need to expose an API. And then this app role which we were talking, that basis on your application role, what are the roles defined in application, those roles you can enable here, or you can configure from UI dynamically. Then that is all the part of this app registration. And you need to note down this client ID. Here go to this which is needed there in React app. Sorry, this one, client ID. Okay, right. So that is all. Your app registration is ready for UI, for React app. This is my React app. Now in the next video I'll let you know how to use this this client ID and how to enable MCell authentication on UI. And then in next video we'll be creating app registration for API. So that is all as part of this video. Thank you very much. See you in next video.